Do you need to drill down further into your niche in order to grow the firm? This is the question we're going to tackle today on Dear Ficomm, episode 28. My name is Carolyn and I am VP of Consulting at Ficomm. This question comes in from Andy Bunch, who's a CFP and a CFA in Atlanta. Andy actually attended a presentation I gave earlier this week and then sent me an email hoping that I would create a Dear Ficomm episode to walk him through some of my reactions. And specifically, Andy's question says, my approach has been a shotgun over the last 2 years with some mixed results. Just curious for your take. If my ideal client is an individual/family with $2 to $10 million of assets looking to invest in private equity and private credit, do you think that is a specific enough niche, or do I need to drill down further? So Andy, thank you so much for this question. This is some of my most favorite work I do as a VP at Ficomm, where we really focus on strategy in order to drive organic growth. So there are two things I see in your question that we will get into today. One is the most deliberate question, which is your niche, in the way you articulated it, specific enough? And then the second thing is you mentioned mixed results, so that it kind of is working, but also not always working. So let's tackle the niche first, because that might be the reason that other people have clicked on this video. Instead of niche, I actually invite you to think about your ideal client. So when we think about niche, oftentimes we start to generalize, or we think it has to be a certain profession or a certain type of investing. But that's not always the case when we pause and we look at growing the firm into the firm you're trying to build. So instead, I invite you to create an ideal client. This person will have a name, they will have an exact age, an exact location, an exact amount of assets, and they will have a personality. They will have a life that they're living, they will have questions that they bring to the table with you, and they have a way that they work with you. Paint a vivid picture of your ideal client and let yourself create something that's completely ideal. Sometimes this is based on previous experiences with some of your top clients right now. So it might be a accumulation of different attributes of a client, but just be specific and create one ideal client. That is absolutely a tool as you work toward your growth, is having this picture. An ideal client profile is the technical marketing term for it. Sometimes it's abbreviated ICP, but none of that matters. What matters is you know your ideal client, and every decision you make in your marketing, in your current client communications, in your events and your COIs, it's informed by the ideal client. We only do what the ideal client would want, would desire, would value, where they are, how they show up online, how they show up at events. Everything centers around them. So that's one big opportunity I see. More specifically, the way you phrased your current niche, I could fine-tune a bit with two specific changes. And this is probably relevant to other folks watching today and exploring their own, drilling down of a niche. You said individual/family with $2 to $10 million of assets looking to invest in private equity and private credit. One of my first recommendations actually is to not mention the assets. Simply say people interested in private equity and private credit. Already that sounds a little bit more human, and you could always figure out, are they a fit from an asset perspective in question 2 or 3. So now we have an individual, or you could say people looking to invest in private equity and private credit. This is interesting, right? It's not maybe what every advisor is bringing to the table as a first sentence, so that is good. I would invite you to then add the essence of the person. So one more detail that you would use to describe who you work with. And this is something like, why private credit and private equity? Is there a common reason why your clients want that? Or is it they want to work remotely? Like it might be people who are interested in private credit and private equity and looking for a remote advisor who is a CFP and blank. You have to give more context to paint a more vivid picture, because that magic of kind of their intent, their problem or their hope, their desire will help folks connect with that one phrase more quickly. When you have gone through the ideal client profile, you might be able to pull out one detail from that page and add it to your summarization of your niche. After these two changes, we now can say, I work with people who are interested in investing in private equity and private credit because they're really motivated by blank. This now is compelling. People, you might find as an initial round of feedback is you might hear people asking you a follow-up question, or they might say, that's so interesting, because now you have them engaged and captivated. I want to go back to the other part of your question that I saw, which is you've had mixed results. So I am not 100% certain that your niche is broken. Yeah, maybe you could pitch your niche a little bit more vividly, but perhaps that's not the thing. Because if some people have connected with it, then it might be two other things, which could be your niche is fine, but you need to be more present where that niche is so that you are in the right rooms or you're on the digital platforms that they are using. So it could simply be a location shift. That's one option, kind of the how you are connecting and syncing up with your niche. The third thing besides the niche, the how or the location, is the message. And typically when we work with advisors on your differentiated messaging, this is a big piece of adjustment that is made very quickly, very effectively, and completely changes results. Because when you have your niche, you show up where they are and you have a compelling message, connection happens. So the message side, if that could potentially be it for you, your ideal client profile will help. Because you'll look at that ideal client and you'll say, this is exactly how I know they want to be spoken to. This is exactly what's on their mind. And this is exactly what I can share with them. Then you add your story. You add why you are an advisor, the change you create for them. And you share stories of your experience that create your point of view on the topics they care about. So there's a little bit there. You might rewind the past 20 seconds to really keep marinating in that pattern. But as you see now, if you have some results with your niche, let's also make sure you're paying attention to how you're connecting with them. Are you in the right places? And is the message differentiated? Andy, I hope this video has helped you step back and take a very strategic look at what might be going on. To recap, I do believe starting with your ideal client profile is a must do. And then just consider as you try to connect with that ideal client, are we in the right places? And am I telling my why story to connect with this person on the topics they care about? I can't wait to hear how it goes for you. And anyone else who is watching this video today, feel free to write in with your own growth question. There's a link below. You can also send me a DM on LinkedIn, and I can't wait to help you think through what's going on in your practice. Have a good day, and I will see you in the next one.